All right. Hi, everybody. It's Cameron here at .text.txt. So we make this package called outlines that provides formal structure generation. So that means that you can make your language model only output tokens that are consistent with a particular format. So in a lot of cases, this is valid JSON. So you can always get JSON that is correct. You can also do regular expressions, things like that. You can just kind of limit a lot of your tokens such that they're predictable, so that you can program with them, such that you can work in large systems with them, stuff like that. There's another alternative that most people currently provide. So most of your open weight providers provide something called JSON-mode, which is a legacy version of structured text that doesn't tend to work very well. Doesn't actually have any guarantees on schema, and it can break down when you have more complicated stuff. So the title of this talk is, "Hey babe, you deserve more than JSON-mode." And the reason I'm talking about this is, you might have a friend who is like going through a rough relationship, and you know that the relationship isn't good for them. And that's like your relationship with JSON-mode. All of our relationship with JSON-mode. And we all deserve a lot better. And so seriously, JSON-mode just does not work well. And in this video, I'm going to show you an example of a case where JSON-mode works, and then a situation where JSON-mode completely breaks down. So we want structured text, formal structured text, because we're adults and we're building systems. You can't really build good systems with language models unless you're using some form of structured text. A lot of people do stuff where they like run their language model a bunch of times. When it starts giving you like parsing errors, when it can't quite give you structured text, you just have to keep retrying, or you put all this crap in the prompting, and it's really painful and costly because you have to keep running your language model a lot. So Outlines is this open source package that we produce here at .text, and it does structured text correctly. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. So before I do this, I'm actually going to kick off a job to run Outlines, and we'll come back to it in a second. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm on kind of a dinky computer and I can't run all this stuff locally. I'm not in Groq. I can't spit out these tokens immediately. So I'm going to set that off and we'll come back to it. So what I have here is I have this Groq setup here that uses JSON-mode. Groq provides JSON-mode, and they don't provide formal structure generation. And this is not a knock against Groq. Pretty much everybody who's an open weight provider has this issue. And I love Groq. I'm a happy Groq customer, but I wish that they had formal structure generation, and this is about to be why. So the way structure generation works is you specify some particular shape of your data. In this case, we're going to use pedantic classes that contain, we have an ingredient, and ingredients have name, quantity, and quantity unit. We have recipes that are a list of ingredients and a name. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask our language model to get JSON that is consistent with the shape of this. So we're going to have a recipe, it's going to have a list of ingredients, etc. And then what we're going to do is we're basically going to we're going to pass Groq a prompt that says, please give me recipes that outputs stuff in valid JSON, and then we're going to pass it the schema, the JSON schema that describes the shape of the information that we expect to get back from our language model. And then we're going to pass the response format as type JSON object. This is what tells Groq to go enable JSON-mode on our behalf. Okay. And so then we have this get recipes function that just goes through like a list of recipes, passes them on to Groq, and then asks Groq to produce that stuff. Then we're going to call that function with 3 different recipes here. So that's apple pie, chicken parmesan, and spaghetti carbonara. So we should expect recipes with ingredients and a list of instructions and things like that for these things. Then we're just going to kind of this is just the thing to kind of print out the results. So let's take a look at that. And this is going to be super fast because Groq is incredible. Groq's serving speed is completely incomparable. And so here we get apple pie, we get a list of ingredients, we get directions, we got all this stuff. So this works. This is actually really solid, which is why people still use JSON-mode, because sometimes it gives you stuff that kind of works. Okay, but I made this more complicated schema because, I want to, when I'm working in structured text, I actually start writing pretty complicated schemas because I can get all of this stuff all at once from my language model without having to think too hard. And it's much cheaper to do one prompt that outputs everything than it is to do several prompts that output different things in different structures. So I have this whole thing for murder mystery. We have characters, they have backstories, motives, alibis. We have locations, so like the name of that location, the significance of the story. We have evidence, where it was found, the description of those items. We have plot points, which characters were involved. And then we're going to put all this stuff in a big, huge murder mystery class. And we're going to ask our language model to fill it out. And note that it has subclasses here. There's a victim, that's a character, detective, there's suspects, there's locations. We have evidence and plot points and all these kinds of things. We possibly have a twist. We have a resolution. We have all of this stuff that we want our language model to output. Okay, and this is a pretty complicated schema. You can tell that it's like pretty tall, right? There's a lot of different attributes in here, and it can be pretty deep because we have characters and stuff like that, and characters have their own set of things. We have locations. So plot points, for example, has a list of strings. So it's like, I think this is like 3 or 4 levels deep, right? And so we're going to do the exact same thing with Groq, but you're a murder mystery plot generator. Here's your schema. Please give us JSON. Exactly the same call. And I'm going to give it 3 prompts here. So locked murder mystery, luxury space cruise, cold case. And I'm going to go ahead and run this on the murder script here. That's the script I just showed you. And so Groq is going to start running here. Oh, crap. What is all this stuff here? Didn't expect that. And so we can see that this is a pedantic validation error. And the reason for that is that Groq sent us a 404 error. And a 404 error is something that Groq provides when it can't actually validate the shape of the JSON. This is Groq failing to give us that schema. And again, not a knock on Groq. Formal structure generation is relatively new. And so what we're going to look at is outlines. That's the package that .text produces. We have the exact same specification, the exact same schema, and then we just have this murder mysteries thing. I'm using our internal API, we, you know, like I'm doing that because like I'm on a laptop, I don't have a GPU, like this is, you know, I kind of have to use a cloud service here. If you have a lot of resources or you're happy to run it on the CPU, you can do these 3 lines here. Outlines.models.transformers to load the model. In this case, you can put it on CPU. You can also use CUDA if you have access to that. And then you create a generator function that you give this function a prompt, and it will generate what you ask for. In this case, we're saying, give me a JSON and put it into a murder mystery structure. So this will give me a murder mystery object, the thing that we had before, and that's just a Python native type. You can just program with that as normal, okay? And then we're going to pass a prompt to our generator function, okay? That's what you want to do locally. This stuff down here basically just does the same thing, but with a cloud service. So I'm going to skip over that. Then we have some mystery prompts, 1 for each. We have get murder mysteries API, and then we're just going to print out a bunch of stuff about the event. Okay. So I look here and I let this run, right? That was the thing I set off at the beginning of the video, but we have everything here, right? We have backstories, occupation. This is Eric Mueller, whose work to use for Caroline, who is the victim. He's a hardworking, loyal employee. He has this motive. You know, we can go through each of the characters. Like this is Captain Douglas, who's the space cruise director. We found the murder. This is the campus crypts. That's in the mansion. They have all this stuff, like what the murder weapon is, etc. Like, we just got it. We got this huge schema that nothing else, like JSON-mode, cannot compute. Okay, so that's all I've got. I just wanted to show you that JSON-mode is kind of a legacy tool, and we should also start asking for formal structure generation like outlines. And outlines makes it so that you can program with actually pretty complicated schemas. And you can work with your language model to build large systems and large programs without being worried that the language model is going to give you extra tokens that you don't want, that it's going to start breaking your system. So there's our QR codes. My name is Cameron Pfeiffer. Our company name is .txt. And yeah, so I hope you have a good day. and you deserve better than JSON mode. Have a good one.